Well, thank you for joining us today. We're going to hang tight just for a few more minutes. We've still got more people coming in. We'll thank everybody for attending today. And then here in about 2 or 3 minutes, we'll see how the rate of new entries starts to slow down, and we'll go ahead and get started. So bear with us just a few more minutes here, and we'll get this meeting started up. For those of you who are already in here, you should be able to see myself and Sidney Eisner, our SolidCAM professor. He's here today to help out with the meeting, and we'll be doing several things here. So hope everybody's having a great morning this morning or afternoon, depending on what part of the world you're in. SolidCAM does a lot. Yeah, we do have people all over the place. SolidCAM does a lot of these presentations for the main purpose of helping our customers get to know a little bit more about our product and maybe meet some of the people on the team here. So we hope you enjoy these webinars, and we'll continue to do them.
Okay, I see people are still coming in, so we're waiting another minute or two.
Yeah, we're still getting quite a few people coming in, so we'll give it at least another minute. And quite the crowd today. I really appreciate that.
Yep.
Well, Sidney and I do a lot of work on UI and automation together, and so today's presentation is one of the things that he and I work on together. So we're kind of excited to bring that to you and talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, one of the times this was, I think, one of my favorite projects that we worked on.
I think so. Yeah, I love it. All right, we're at 2 minutes after the hour, and well, the new entrances are still coming in, so maybe we'll give it another 30 seconds or so before we get started.
All right, we'll compromise 45 seconds. Okay.
45. Well, we always compromise, right?
But not always, but
that's why we work so well together. And again, for those of you that are entering in now and have joined us, we've got quite a few people in today, so we're holding on just for a little bit longer to kind of let the rate of entry slow down just a little bit. It's still ticking up pretty consistently right now, so we'll give it just another little bit of time here and
yeah,
wait till it starts to slow down a little bit before we actually start the presentation. But we were talking just a moment ago about some of the things that we like to do. SolidCAM likes to do these webinar presentations kind of on a semi-regular basis to give you guys an opportunity to meet some of us on the team and learn a little bit more about the application and things that you can do inside. So that's kind of what today is all about. And again, we'll get started here in just a moment. Sidney, I see the rate of entry starting to slow down a little bit. So
yeah, I think you can start. And this is just everyone let know this is being recorded, so it will be available later on. Okay,
exactly.
Again, go ahead. All yours.
All righty. Well, again, thank you for joining us today for this presentation on SolidCAM's templates and how to best use them. My name is Ken Merritt. I work with the UI and automation team here at SolidCAM. Sidney Eisner is with us also, the SolidCAM professor. And he's here to help me today. He's going to kind of keep a monitor on the questions that come in. And so in this webinar, we're going to cover several important characteristics about templates. We're also going to discuss a few system configuration ideas that make templates even more powerful. And so you should see in your GoToWebinar control panel, you should see a questions pane. And that's where you can type in questions if you want to. And hopefully before we finish up today, we'll have an opportunity to do a little bit of Q&A, and we'll try to answer as many of those questions as time permits. Now, as we get started here today, I'm going to go ahead and shut off my camera just to save a little bit of bandwidth and make sure the presentation is a little bit smoother. And so bear with me just a moment while I close that out. And hopefully that's gone now. And we'll begin this presentation and start talking about our templates. All right, so, you know, I hear from many of our customers that they've never even used the templates at all. Many other customers tell me that they've used templates, but not very often. And so we want to talk a little bit about what we're doing with templates. They've been around for several years now, and we continue to enhance them. So as you guys are using them, if you have some ideas and you want to present them to us, we're more than open to that. But let's take a few minutes to talk about the benefits that templates bring to an average shop. Now, first, the goal of templates is to help the programmers become more efficient in programming. And there's several ways to use templates. Today, we'll focus on some effective ideas, thoughts for using templates that you may not have considered before. And you'll see how quickly toolpath strategies can be applied to individual parts by using these templates. You're also going to see how templates can help you to efficiently test a strategy against another strategy, okay? Now, second, templates can help you to use proven ideas, if you will, strategies that you've already worked on. This can help minimize mistakes as well. Now, you know, experienced programmers are extremely valuable. Their knowledge comes from years of experience in diverse conditions in the shop. And, you know, it can take decades to reach an expert level as a machinist. A lot of times these skills are not very easily passed on to the less experienced programmers. And so it can be challenging these days to find qualified applicants for machinist positions as a company is growing and expanding their business. With SolidCAM's templates, the journeyman programmers can capture some of their knowledge, you know, the parameter sets and the technologies that they configure into the toolpath operations, and they can save these operations as templates. And later on, you can pass these templates over to a lesser experienced programmer, and he can use them to learn from, as well as to help them, you know, come up to speed in programming much quicker and much faster. Other benefits are reliability, consistency and predictability, and more. You know, CAM programming for CNC machines can sometimes be a mentally intense activity. Distractions in the programming office can often result in items being missed. We forget to set a parameter or a lead in, lead out strategy, or, you know, any number of other items. So another area where SolidCAM's templates can help to improve programming performance is in helping us to avoid some of these errors. Now, templates are pre-configured, and so they have very few requirements for user interaction. And these templates can apply across many unique parts that fall into the same category of operational strategies. This means that in most cases, not always, but in most cases, applying the template and calculating the operation may be all that's needed to ensure that your proven strategies are consistently and effectively used across many of these individual parts. Now, many shops today are discovering the benefits of uncontaminated chip salvage. And this means that they are typically only running a specific material in a particular machining center. Now, this is generally the only way to ensure premium quality in that chip recovery process. Salvage companies obviously will pay a lot more money, price per pound, if they're confident that the chips are consistently a single material, that they're not mixed with other metals. You may be asking yourself about now, what in the world does this have to do with templates?
I was about to ask the same question.
you were about to ask me that same question, huh, Sidney? Where the heck is he going with this? Well, SolidCAM's system configuration, what we call SolidCAM settings, includes default templates, okay? And so in SolidCAM settings, you can make these specifically configured to help optimize this idea of running a certain material on a designated machine. Using multiple custom configurations will help the programmer switch from one scheme to another scheme quickly, ensuring that they're working with a system environment that supports the default machine, material, tools, templates, tolerances, all of those things that they want to be running for this particular condition. Now, this is just one aspect of using templates to help you. Later in this presentation, we'll show you how you can set up multiple template schemes and benefit from this strategy. Now, to start with, let's take a look at what a template is and how you create a template of a toolpath operation. First you got to build the operation. You set it up the way you want it and then save that as a template. This is one of the reasons why we always teach that you want to become proficient with SolidCAM before you start configuring your templates. You're going to want to know your best practices for various conditions and optimum parameter settings for each type of toolpath operation that you'll be using in SolidCAM. Okay, so first we're going to choose a type of operation. We're going to grab a pocket here, right? And we're going to set up the geometry. Obviously, in this case, we're going to use one of our feature recognition options. We're going to select the bottom of this pocket, and then we're going to go to the tool library. Okay. Now, by the way, we have a very, very powerful toolkit. It's one of the strongest in the industry, if not the strongest in the industry. And toolkit management is covered in several other webinar recordings that are located both on our website and in our forum. So, please feel free to go check those out and learn a bit more about the toolkit. But it's really powerful. Okay. Now, we set up the levels, we set up the technologies, links, all of these different things in creating this toolpath. We save and calculate it. We get to take a look at the toolpath, make sure it's what we wanted, and then we can save it as a template using that icon in the upper portion of the dialog there. Give it a name, whatever you guys want. This is where your data management schemes come in. But then we can say okay to this, and it will save that template into our template manager, which we can get access to over here on the right-hand side of the screen. When we bring out that manager, you'll see here, there's the template that we just created, okay? And so you can see here that creating a template is very easy to do. Now, this was a simplistic example of it, obviously, but remember, you can create these templates throughout all of the operation types within SolidCAM. And we recommend creating them as you go, okay? So when you prove out a great SolidCAM toolpath, you drive it several times on a machine, you really like the way it works, you've got your step overs, your feeds and speeds, your step downs, everything is set correctly, you've optimized which tool you want to use and so forth, then you can capture that as a template and then manage that data storage scheme so that you can conveniently find these templates in the future. And that makes this very easy to use, okay? Now, again, going through those operations, you choose the operation, you pick the geometry, you do all the different things that you need to do, and you get through saving and locating that template, okay? Now, what do we do once we've done that? Well, we want to take advantage of that. And one of the best ways is drag and drop. Now, templates can be applied by simply starting an operation from the ribbon and then loading a template into the dialog. There's an icon right up there by the save icon that'll let you do that. But our drag and drop functionality is so much easier. And today's message is about best usage of templates. And so I want to talk a little bit about our drag and drop functionality. It's easier to use, and it often offers more levels of automation, if you will. We kind of believe in semi-automation here at SolidCAM because we want you to be able to capitalize on your ideologies and how to get them using. So to start with, we're going to show dragging and dropping a template directly to the CAM tree, okay? And so let's go ahead and start this, and we'll see that we will open up and navigate to the template type. We're going to find the template that we want. We're going to drag it over to the tree, and it's going to offer us some prompted requirements, things that we've got to pick, like the geometry that we want to apply it to and such. Okay. And then we'll set some other values like, depths. We want to add a functional floor that it's associative to, so we can pick that when we drop it. Once we say okay, it's going to give us the actual toolpath dialog where we can go in and adjust anything that we may want to change. Remember, the template pre-populates all of these parameters, but you're not forced to keep them. And then we can save and calculate this. And of course, take advantage of using that template like that, okay? And so that becomes a very, very easy way. Now, this was a simplistic example of using drag and drop to apply a template. But remember, you can do this for every type of operation in SolidCAM. So just think about the power and ease of use that that's going to bring to the table for you. Now, one of my favorite methods of using templates is to drag and drop them directly to the part, okay? And we can do this with many of the template types throughout the software, not all of them, but many of them. Our development team has created several mechanisms to capture data from the model and apply it to the template automatically. This gives us a powerful way to take automation into our own hands, giving us the ability to apply technology that we have proven to work as we want it to and as we expect it to work. And we can do that with each new part that we get from a customer. So it really does create a very efficient and actually automated way to work with SolidCAM. So again, we're going to go over and we're going to open the template manager, right? And we're going to navigate to the template type. We're going to open up Pocket here. We're going to select that desired template just like we did a moment ago, except this time we're going to drag it directly to the face on the model. And we're going to select that. SolidCAM is going to do the rest, okay? It's going to automatically calculate that toolpath and put it where we want to put it, okay, and make it work the way we want it to work. Now,
and I noticed you did it actually on 2 surfaces.
I did actually, and I was just about to talk about that. You can drag a template directly to a face and pick it, or what I did in this case was I used the control key. Now, holding the control key while dragging it to the first face and then continuing to hold that key as you pick the additional faces will allow you to assign that template to multiple face selections for the feature recognition to work in each of those areas. So the performance improvement over other systems in doing this is very, very exceptional. Now, we also want to talk about different strategies. And sometimes setting up a template in several variants can be very helpful. These 2 iMachining templates that you're looking at here are actually identical with a single exception, okay? In the first version, the one that says channel mode in the name, you're going to see that the technology parameter island moding is turned on, okay? And this is the only difference from the other one. In the second version, the island moding parameter is turned off. Everything else through these 2 templates is absolutely identical. And so let's take a look at how it impacts the toolpath. Now, these are 2 very different parts, right? And a lot of people would think, well, I got to use totally different approaches to machine these parts. Well, that's not necessarily always true. Sometimes we can use the same template. For instance, the one with the island moding set to on would work very effectively for both of these parts, okay? But the second template in there, the one with the island moding set off, actually optimizes this part on the left just a little bit. So let's take a look at the difference in what they do, okay? Now, when we do this, when we apply this first one, we're going to see what happens here. We see both of them in here when we go to the manager, and these are both set up for, machining on this particular part or on parts of this style, this type, okay? SolidCAM does a very effective, very quick job of generating a very complex toolpath. And as you can see, the system built in the morphing strategy in this area, the morphing spiral strategy, by using a channel moat to clear the area so that it could do the morphing spiral. But I'm going to go ahead and suppress this now. And we're just going to shut this toolpath off for a moment. That way the updated stock is renewed back to normal. And let's try the other template. Let's drag this template out to the floor and apply it. We're going to see something a little bit different this time. Again, SolidCAM is very quickly going to calculate this toolpath and generate the tool motion. And you'll see in this case that it's a little bit different than what the other one was. Now it's using what we call a D-slot trochoidal repositioning strategy in encompassing that entire area. Now, if we look at the time here on the tree, we'll notice 2 minutes and 8 seconds on the first one and 1 minute and 51 seconds on the second one. And so this style of using a template can also offer you the ability to test things, okay? One of the things we teach when we're teaching iMachining is that when channel moating consumes more area than the spiral morphing in a particular region where it's working, then sometimes it can be more efficient to not use the island moating, okay? And so you may need to try them back and forth. You're going to get used to it after a while. Doing this more often, you're going to kind of see the geometry alignments of parts and kind of pick and choose which one you want. And that's one of the ways that our semi-automation tends to work a little better than just fully and completely automating everything. So think about how nice it's going to be to have these multiple templates that you can try on different parts, and you can quickly see which one's going to be more effective and more efficient. It doesn't take a lot of programming time to do this, okay? With a couple of drop templates, suppress 1 or 2 or 3 and figure out which one you want to use and then get rid of the others. You can really do a nice job to optimize your time on the machine and your cycle time, okay? Now, I want to talk just briefly about SolidCAM's settings, right? There's a lot of power in understanding how to manage settings to take advantage of what I like to call application configuration settings, or schemes, if you will. Now, SolidCAM has 2 sets of settings, the SolidCAM settings and the part settings. The part settings are project specific, okay? SolidCAM's CAM settings, what I like to call the global settings, can only be fully accessed when SolidCAM is running, but there is no project open, okay? Kind of like you see on the screen here. There's not a project open, and I've launched the settings here. These settings provide the general configuration that are basically system specific, and they affect any new project that is created while they're active, okay? And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes. But if you open these settings from inside a CAM project, excuse me, you will notice that several groups of settings will be disabled, and you're not going to be able to change them. You're also not going to be able to save or load a scheme if you have a project open. So remember that if you're going to work on the global SolidCAM settings, you want to do that before you open a project, okay? And so when we set them, templates is one of the areas, one of the groups that from within SolidCAM settings with no active project open, you will notice that you can set a default template. And you can do this for every type of operation in SolidCAM. You're also going to notice that you can set the path for the storage of these default templates. That means you can set up your own management scheme, right? However many groups of these settings you want to create, you can build your own scheme of data management, be it on a server, a local computer, intranet, or in even a different country location, okay? All of that can be set up so that all your programmers can have access to it, right? Now, with a project open, you have access to the part settings over here on the CAM tree. Now, the part settings are, they also include the default templates, but they're specific to this project. So after the project has been started, initialized, if you will, The global CAM settings don't impact this project anymore. The settings that are inherited in here to the part settings are the ones that are going to control that. Now, you can see here, again, the defaults for everything can be controlled, okay? Now, I do want to repeat something here because this is extremely important. In SolidCAM, when the CAM project is initialized, the part settings on the CAM tree inherits the current active set of global or SolidCAM settings, including the template defaults. This, if you'll learn how to use all of this, this is a very, very powerful feature in SolidCAM. As you can see here, several operation types have been enabled with checkboxes, and a template has been selected for that operation type to be the default template. Now that means when the user starts this type of operation from the command ribbon or right-click menu or whatever, the operation dialog is going to be pre-populated with each of the parameters and technologies in these templates. This is full customization. You can make this system run the way you want it to run by using our templates, and especially by using these default templates, okay? So extremely, extremely powerful situation here.
Just one more note on that also. Everyone should note that templates is actually, remember, templates is your technology. So yes, you're getting to use it exactly the way you want to use it.
Exactly, exactly. This is what makes it so powerful. It's not some programmer, from wherever around the world telling you how to machine your parts. You figure out how you want to machine your parts. You get good at it, and then you capture that technology as a template and take advantage of it, okay? Now, as we start to talk about settings schemes, in the global CAM settings, you can set up as many of these CAM schemes as it makes sense for how your company does business. You can save these schemes in the dialog here, and then within each of these schemes, you can set the system to be optimized for that particular working environment, right? You can also, like I talked about earlier, set up your data management structure and keep this all very, very well organized, all right? So before you start, right, you're gonna load a scheme. You're gonna load a saved scheme. And then when you start a new CAM project, right, you're gonna get what you want, because whatever data management scheme you have set up, that's gonna get inherited into that current project. And it's gonna give you a way of pointing to the particular folders and being able to get directly to all the templates that you want to use for whatever that condition is, okay? Now, I've had people ask me before, oh man, I forgot to do that. Now I've got a project started, but it's got the wrong set of templates loaded, okay? Well, we have a fail-safe in case you do that, okay? If you forget to do it before you start the project and you discover it, before you start putting toolpath down, or maybe you put the first toolpath down and realize that, oh man, I'm working in titanium and I've got the aluminum stuff set up. That's not going to work for me. You can just delete that operation. You can go back to close the project, because remember, you can only change the global settings when a project is not open, okay? So after you close the project, you'll be able to load the proper scheme, then reopen the project. And now with the project open and the current global CAM settings set the way you intended them to be, you can open the part settings from the CAM tree. And as it shows here, you're going to find a reset icon in the lower left corner of the dialog. You're going to look for the one that says resets all pages to SolidCAM settings, and that will reconfigure the part settings to be what you wanted, okay? Now, I know this deviates from templates a little bit, but we want to talk about this just for a few moments. There's a few items here that do go beyond templates. And I just want to briefly mention them because it really adds to this optimized programming strategy. It makes it better. The post processor can have a lot of impact on this also. Now the post is made up of two files, the virtual machine identification file, or the VMID we call it, and the general post processor file, or the GPP. Now I want to make something perfectly clear. Please understand, if you are not a skilled post processor editor with proper training in SolidCAM posts, then please don't attempt to make these changes yourself. Contact our post team and we can work with you to configure your VMID to support these functionalities, okay? That's important. You don't want to be messing around in the post if you don't know what you're doing in there, okay? But one of the cool features about this is in the global CAM settings, we can identify the default CNC controller. This means when you launch a project, it can be automatically set to use that machine post, okay? And this is actually pointing to the VMID file, okay? In the VMID file, we have particular items that can be set. So here's an example. This is what we call working styles, okay? And the first one I want to mention is the tool setup library, because look, especially if I'm doing this scheme of only running a certain material on a certain machine, if I'm running titanium on that machine, I want my tool library to be those tools that I've purchased for cutting titanium, right? They're going to have different rake angles, different flute counts. They're going to be different coatings, you know, all kinds of things. So it's important, and we can do this. We can set up a machine-specific library that you can link to through the VMID so that every time you start a project in that scheme, that tool table is already pre-configured and ready to go, okay? One of the other things that the VMID can do is that it can point to a default set of iMachining material and machine database structures. This can be very, very powerful. I'll show you an example of that just in a few moments, okay? If these parameters are blank in the VMID, then the programmer needs to set these values in the CAM part definition every time they start a project. Now for job shops that do a whole lot of different things on a particular machine, obviously that's the way they want it. They're going to open it up, and for whatever they're doing that day on that machine, they're going to set up the system for that. But for companies who are really trying to optimize programming and are using this strategy of only doing certain things on certain machines, they can set these defaults up, and it becomes a very, very good way to work with the system, okay? Now, so that we can kind of get an idea what's going on here, I want to show you, this is a very simple example, but I think it'll get the idea across to you. I hope you can see how powerful SolidCAM's templates are and how they can really give you an opportunity to take them up a notch by working with the SolidCAM settings and part settings. This can optimize how the CAM project is started, and that can be based on various working environments. We're going to take a look at two very simple examples. Now, with the CAD model open, okay. Oh, sorry, hit the wrong finger there.
That hurts.
I hate it when I do that. I'm going to open from the CAM tree over here. I'm going to open the CAM settings. I'm going to start off by going down and loading a particular scheme. In this case, machine 3, cutting titanium, okay? And you're going to see here that by doing that, now the default CNC controller is set to this particular machine for cutting titanium. The path for the templates is set to my data management scheme so that I can get to each of these templates that are specifically oriented towards this condition. Now I can start the new project, right? And go through the process. This is, you know, what we go through on a regular basis. Some of this can be automated as well in the settings, okay? For this purpose, I'm showing you most of the things that you do in here. We're going to identify the stock and the target. We're going to notice the machine is set here in the CAM part definition. The iMachining data structures are set up properly for us automatically. All that got pre-populated because of that settings scheme. We'll go in here and we set the set up the coordinate system and do all the things that we need to do in there. This will improve our performance while we're programming, because we can work within a particular set of conditions, right? And now that we have the coordinate system data set, we can accept all of that. And now we have an opportunity to set the stock up. So of course we'll identify the stock that we want to use. Important feature, by the way, when you're using iMachining especially, make sure your stock definition is correct, okay? It's going to help you a lot. Now, after we finalize this definition, right, one of the really cool aspects about this is, look at this, the toolkit, because we brought in that default VMID, toolkit's pre-assigned, it's not empty, okay? And this can be however many tools you want in here, right? But these are the 5 flute tools that are specifically designed for cutting this titanium. Now, also, I look over here and my templates are machine 3 titanium, right? So they're ready to go. So I drag over the same template we were talking about without the island moding on it, but specifically identified for titanium. Notice the tight step over. Okay, let's go in and look at the technology wizard. In the technology wizard, you're going to see that, we're running a very aggressive 650 surface feet, 4,000 chip load, up to 45 degrees cutting angle, all set up the way I want to run my titanium. Okay. But now let's take a look. Let's bring in a different part. Customer sends us a part that maybe it's the same part. They just have a different variant that they're going to be cutting in aluminum. So again, I open up the CAM settings before I start the project. I go in here and I load the scheme for machine 1 aluminum, right? I pick that. Now when I go into my CNC controller, notice it's the VMID that's oriented towards the aluminum, right? So that's going to bring in the proper tool library, set up the proper conditions. My templates are all set to the proper path, and I can grab the ones that I want that apply to aluminum for any tool path in the entire system, okay? So again, we'll go ahead and go through, setting this up, right? And while we're going through this setup, I want you to think about all the different conditions that you might be able to see in your shop where this style of interaction with the software could improve your performance, could improve your confidence, can improve your reliability in programming at your CNC machines, okay? And this doesn't have to be material and machine based like I'm talking about today. That's just one of many examples of an idea, a scheme that you can run. This could be tolerance-based approaches, different reasons for doing different tolerance requirements. It could be mold work versus aerospace work, or any number of other ideas. But be creative. And I'm sure that you will find many reasons to consider this way of working with SolidCAM. Now, as we do this, when we get to this point here, you can see that as we accept this and now we look at the toolkit again, look at what we got going here. Completely different set of tools. These are 3 flute tools designed for aluminum, different coatings, different rake angles, but they're there and they're in the toolkit automatically for me and ready to go. And my templates are set up. So now I can come open up my template and I can grab the template for machine 1 on aluminum. And again, SolidCAM is going to do an extremely quick job of computing a very complex toolpath, but look at the difference in the step overs. Let's go in and take a look at the technology page. When we look at our technology wizard page here, we're going to see that now we're working with 1,200 surface feet, much thicker chip, and up to 60 degrees of cutting angle instead of 45, all automatically set for us, so we can simply drag and drop and get the product out to the machine where we're going to start making some money. Okay?
That was done very quickly, actually.
It's done very quickly. The system is fantastic at this stuff. Now, obviously, these are smaller parts and less complex, but expand that ideology to all of the stuff that you're working on in your shop. And I think you're going to see where using templates in SolidCAM can change the way you think about doing CNC CAM programming. Okay. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. I think we've got some time now to do some Q&A. Looks like we got through that a little bit faster than some of my practice times.
Okay, actually, I'll tell you, I hate to steal your glory, but as you were doing the webinar, I just about answered all the questions.
All the questions. Okay, well.
Okay, but I will go over like one of the questions that was asked. I think you actually did answer it before. One of the questions was when you did the drag and drop and you grabbed two surfaces, how you did that. And
Yes,
I believe you did explain it that.
Yeah, and again, just to reiterate, it's very simple. If you simply drag with your mouse click and drag it out and drop it on a face, it's going to apply that template directly to that face only. If you hold your control key while you're dragging it out there, then the template will be applied to any of the faces that you select while you have the control key down. Okay, so you can do multiple face locations so that you can put that template in multiple areas on the part. Sidney, if there's any other questions in there, what might not be a bad idea to go through them verbally here for anybody that didn't see them in the.
Okay, I know. All right. Well, one of the questions was which we did mention in the beginning. This webinar has been recorded and will be available to everybody later on. Also on our website. There are two more questions that just came in. How to learn more about more time savings practices like this? Where can you learn more of this stuff?
Well, there's lots and lots of data on our forum. One of the things we always promote is check out the forum on a regular basis. I think you're going to find a lot of detail there. You're going to find a lot of information coming in from other people as well as just, not just from us. The other way you can do it, our website has lots and lots of videos on it. There's also a really nice program we've got. It's called SolidCAM University, and it's a lot of KevCam recordings. Kevin is one of our senior application engineers, and he kind of does a night school on how to get better and learn more about SolidCAM. And there's hundreds of videos that are available. They're short videos on specific topics, and you can find that on YouTube by just putting in a search for KevCam or SolidCAM University.
Okay, let's just go more down because as you were talking, some more questions came in.
Kind of figured that might happen.
Yeah, that's what you said. Okay, one was I love the idea of making templates with certain tool sheets, but it's not every time that the same tools are set at the same T positions in the machine. So can we change easily as well?
Oh, absolutely. Any time. Now there are lots of different strategies for setting up pre-configured machine tool tables. One of the main things that people really like about that is setting up dedicated carousels. Okay, but you can always move tools around by simply going into the tool definition and changing the number on it. It's very easy to do. So yeah, don't worry about that too much. What a lot of customers do is they'll set up like the first 8 or 10 slots. Let's say they've got 36 slots in their machine. A lot of them will set up the same 8 or 10 initial slots or tools that they use for all parts. And then in the tool table, you can also set up all the tools that you want to use on that machine, but leave them in storage. Like I said, our toolkit is one of, if not the most powerful toolkit in the CAM industry. There's a lot of capabilities you can do with it. Storage allows you could have 100 tools in storage and only have 12 slots on the carousel. It doesn't matter. You can switch them in and out of storage to the carousel at any time that you need to. So it's very, very easy to manage.
Okay, someone did ask about what the address of the forum is. It's I actually did type it into the answers question for everyone to see. It's forum.solidcam.com.
Yes.
Just for everyone to know where that particular is. Do we have a plan to apply the templates on right-click on the surface like other programs may have?
I need a little bit more specificity on that.
Okay, no,
What I would recommend, this is one of the things that Sidney and I love to do. Look, SolidCAM is customer driven. Okay, if you've got an idea for an enhancement that you would like to see to the use of templates, please send us an email and spec out what it is you're looking for, and we will entertain that idea for development in a future version of SolidCAM. And you can send that either to Sidney.Eisner@solidcam.com, or you can send that to Ken.Merritt@solidcam.com, or to both of us. And we will take that under advisement. We'll look at it, and if it's a good idea, we'll definitely implement it.
Better, you can actually go into our forum and post a request like that as well.
Absolutely, you betcha. So yeah, SolidCAM is a very customer-driven company. Our whole goal here at SolidCAM is to make sure that we're creating what you as a customer need to make your life machining CNC parts a lot better and a lot easier to do.
Okay, let's see. Well, someone did ask about demonstrations seem to learn towards iMachining. We also did touch on pockets actually in the beginning. Ken just used iMachining as an example, but as also Ken mentioned in the beginning, templates can be used in every single one of the operations that we have in SolidCAM. And on most of the operations, you can also use the drag and drop as well.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Another question was, can we use machines and template materials, for example, pockets operations, for different sizes of our pockets?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. You got to get creative when you're thinking about this. You could have just a simple example: small pocket, medium pocket, large pocket. Right? In a small pocket, I'm using a 1/4-inch tool. In a medium pocket, I've got it set for a 1/2-inch tool. In a large pocket, I've got it set for a 1-inch tool. You can do anything that you want to do with the same thing that you would normally program manually in SolidCAM. You can set it up as a template so you can drag and drop it. Now, the key to this becomes the naming convention and the storage location. Okay, where do you keep them? Now, remember too that in that template manager, the path to the templates is up top. Now, let's say you want to organize things in separate folders. You could path it to the parent folder, and then you could, when you open it up, you could go up there and navigate to a subfolder very easily. So anything you want to do, this is where, like I said, your creativity is your limit in how to use templates. There's so many different ways to do it. And again, optimizing it by tool choice, optimizing it by size, by material characteristics, by tolerance requirements. There's so many different ways that you may want to think of to create these different schemes. Just let your mind roam and go for it.
Okay, just one also note, someone asked about geometries. Templates does not save geometries, okay? Templates is actually applied to a geometry.
Right.
It's not within the template. When you use a template, you use it onto a geometry. You're creating the geometry actually as you're going along. With the drag and drop, for example, when you drag a template onto a face, when that face is when you do that action itself is creating the geometry. Now,
right.
Now let's say the template for some reason is not exactly the way you decided. You look at it, you say, I want to do a change. Well, the operation is a regular operation, just like any other operation that you've created in the past. All you have to do is just go into the operation
and change it.
And make any changes you want. Nothing is closed there. Everything is open in front of you. You can make any changes you want.
Right. This is one of the reasons I was talking about. We don't want to force you into a quote automation strategy. Okay, it's one of the things that I don't like about full automation in CAM is sometimes that limits your ability to be flexible, okay? With SolidCAM, what we've done is we've gone down this ideology of a semi-automatic functionality that optimizes and automates the things that should be automated and allows you to have the flexibility to interact with the system in a way that gives you more power and ability to change the automation scheme for a particular geometry or condition that you need to handle. Okay, it makes it much more flexible.
Okay, just one more, and there was an issue. Someone had asked that, and I'll show this actually on my computer, that you were constantly opening up the drag and drop screen. Well, you don't really have to do that. If you take a look,
Oh yeah, you can pin it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
If you see my screen now, correct? I believe.
Yes, we do. Yep.
Okay. You'll note that I have this pinned over here. So my screen always stays open. So if you're constantly using drag and drop for it, you can keep it open. You don't have to go over here every single time and open it up every single time. Just pin it and it'll stay open.
Right. I'm more obsessive compulsive. I want my screen clean. so I keep mine unpinned and Sidney keeps his pinned. So yeah, you can do it either way.
Okay, I see another question did pop up, and this will be the last one.
Okay.
I've used machine control operation templates which have multiple operations within, but we don't find that easy as you can remember what geometries that are looking for when applying these. An example for 5-axis machining, right? Okay.
One of the items that we're looking at, and Sidney and I have not quite gotten into the specification process on it yet, but it's been brought up by one of our customers, and personally, I think it's a great idea. Hopefully, we'll be working on that in the very near future term. But it's an idea of being able to have a right-click option over here in the drag and drop template manager, where we could right-click and get to documentation that is tied to each template, where we could actually kind of look at the template structure in the documentation and see how it is intended to be used. Because when we get into this particular instance, for instance, for multiple MCO, what we like to call process templates, where we have more than one template. Today, I kind of limited this discussion to just using templates. We haven't gone into process templates. Process templates are the ability to capture multiple templates and create a process template, then apply that process, okay? And that is also a very, very powerful feature in SolidCAM, and we'll get into that in another session sometime. But with these, especially with MCOs, you're right, they can be very complicated. It can be very confusing to try to understand what a particular parameter is to be set to. So that's one of the things we want to develop here in the near future, is an ability to, in this drag and drop template manager, to be able to right click on a template or on a process template and get access to a PDF or Word doc or whatever that gives us instructions on how to use that. So hopefully that's going to be coming in the very near future. Sid, you're on mute, I think.
Correct. I just realized that. Okay. All right. Our time is just about run out, Ken. So I think you can sum it up.
Yeah, I want to thank you again for joining us today. We really appreciate it. I'm very encouraged. We have a lot of attendees in today. Give us a call if you have something that you need or that you'd like to see in there, or if you want some training. Again, wherever you are throughout the world, check in with your local reseller, and training is always available. Generally, we have many different opportunities for training, different options, and training is one of the things that can help you the best. Okay, we'll continue to do these webinars and make these available to you, but for more detailed training, just give us a call. We can set something up with you.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining us, and this webinar will be available later on. It takes a couple of hours just to
Yeah, just to render it.
Render it,
Yeah.
exactly. But it will be available on our website, www.solidcam.com. And until then, until our next webinar, everyone take care and have a fantastic weekend also.
You bet. Everybody take care. Have a great day and a great week.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you.